a solitary figure of a woman emerged from the shadows. She leaned against the wall of a crumbling rental house, her shoulders hunched as if she were ill. Derek Craven's harsh green eyes swept over her as he exited the gambling club from the alley behind. A scene like this was unusual on London streets, especially in this slum where human poverty manifested in every imaginable form. Although only a short distance from the luxurious St. James Street, the difference was stark. Here, homes were rotting heaps of filth. The area teemed with beggars, prostitutes, swindlers, and thieves. People like him. No respectable woman would ever be seen here, especially not at twilight. But if she was a prostitute, her clothing was oddly modest. Her grey cloak fell open at the front, revealing a dark-coloured, high-necked dress. A lock of hair peeked from beneath her brownish hood. She might have been waiting for a wandering husband, or perhaps she was a lost shopgirl. Passers-by stole glances at her, but didn't stop. If she stayed here much longer, she would almost certainly be raped, robbed, or beaten and left to die. The proper thing would be to approach her, inquire about her situation, and express concern for her safety. But Derek was no gentleman. He turned and continued walking along the cracked pavement. He had grown up on these streets, born in the sewers, raised by rough prostitutes, and educated by every kind of criminal as he came of age. He knew all the tricks used to ensnare the careless, how it only took a few seconds to rob a man and slit his throat. Women were often used in these traps, as bait, as lookouts, or even as attackers. A frail-looking girl could be deadly with a metal rod hidden beneath her skirt, or a pair of pistols tucked into her stockings. Then Derek slowly became aware of footsteps approaching from behind. Something about them sent a chill down his spine. 2 sets of heavy boots. 2 men. He deliberately changed his pace. They adjusted theirs to match. They were following him. Perhaps sent by Ivo Jenner, his longtime adversary, to cause trouble. Swearing under his breath, Derek rounded a corner. Just as he expected, they moved in. He spun and ducked under a punch. Reacting on instinct and years of experience, he shifted his weight and kicked the attacker in the stomach. The man cried out and staggered back. Derek turned to strike the second man, but too late. A metal object smashed into his back. Then another blow rattled his skull. He collapsed. The 2 men pounced on his crumpled body. "Hurry up," one muttered, his voice strained. Derek struggled as his head was yanked back. He threw a punch, but his hand was pinned. A blade slashed across his face. A distant scream rang in his ears, hot liquid spilling from his eyes and mouth, his own blood. He groaned, writhing in pain. It happened too fast. He couldn't stop it. He had always feared dying. He had known it would be like this, not peaceful, painful, violent, and dark. Sarah paused to review the notes she'd gathered. Peering through her glasses, she puzzled over the slang she'd heard that evening. The language of the streets evolved rapidly each year, a fascinating conclusion. Seeking a little privacy, she leaned against a wall and reviewed the pages she had stitched into a small notebook, scribbling edits with her pencil. Gamblers called playing cards flats, scams, and warned each other to watch for crushers, which she assumed referred to policemen. One detail still confused her, the difference between rampsmen and dragsmen, both terms for street thieves. Well, she'd have to find out. She insisted on using the correct terms. Her first 2 novels, Matilda and The Beggar, had been praised for their attention to detail. She didn't want her third, still untitled, dismissed as inaccurate. She wondered if any of the men coming and going from the gambling club could answer her questions. Most looked unsavory, unshaven, unclean. It probably wasn't wise to approach them. They might not appreciate having their evening interrupted. But she needed information for her book, and Sarah made a point of never judging people by appearances. Suddenly, she noticed a commotion at the street corner. She squinted through the darkness, trying to see what was happening. After rolling up her notes, she tucked the booklet into her bag and moved forward, curiously. A string of crude words reached her ears, and her cheeks turned pink. No one in Greenwood Corners spoke that way, except old Mr. Dawson, when he'd had too much brandy at the town's annual Christmas fair. 3 men were fighting. It looked like 2 of them were holding the third down and beating him. She could hear fists hitting flesh. Wincing, Sarah clutched her bag and watched. Her heart pounded like a frightened rabbit's. It would be foolish to intervene. She was here to observe, not interfere. But the poor man's groans were agonizing. And then she saw the flash of a knife. They were going to kill him.